All right, so start with some basics.
Yeah.
So, we've been.
Well, we need to, say.
I'm Graham.
No, hold on. Give her a pause for a second. All right. We are now at the 2-month mark of Float Tour.
And
2
we've
months.
seen 104 float tank centers now.
Yep.
Which,
So-
when we started out, we thought that like 100 was the point that we wanted to hit by the end of tour. So, blew past that.
Nailed it. Yep. 100 in the bank. And we still got a whole nother month to go. So we'll see where that takes us. We're in Chicago right now, which you can see out the window there.
City of Angels.
Yeah. I think, right? As they call it.
What it is?
Yeah, Gloria from Float 60 has put us up in this place, which is very nice of her and very awesome. So this isn't just our RV looking way nicer now. This is actually we're in a little condo.
And it's been fun.
Yeah, that pretty much summarizes it. I would say is fun. Like if I had to describe Float Tour in one word.
Good.
Or, yeah. Well, I mean, I was gonna say fun, but
It's been fun and good.
yeah, like if I got 2 words, I'd probably say good fun.
Yeah, or one if it's German.
Yeah. Well, then we could just this whole interview would be 1 word.
Fun and good.
And I guess if I had 4 words.
Yeah. What would you do if you had 4 words?
So fun and good would obviously be 2 of them.
That's 3.
Well, at the end, these aren't the 4 words. I'm listing them. So fun, comma, good.
Still 3.
Yeah. Float would probably be one of them.
Yep. And tired.
Yeah. We're a little tired. We've been many places, but we've had some really good stops since the last time. What are some of the most exciting things that we've seen?
I'm glad you asked. So I've been telling everyone that my favorite stops have been the really kind of out of the way, quirky one tank center that you wouldn't really expect to find it kind of places. The one that we saw in Louisiana is still one of my favorites. The one that we saw in Baltimore, Twig's
Yeah.
place, Be
Yeah.
Free Floating, who was pretty much an anarchist who really wanted to have float tanks be free at any cost, which I guess is free, no cost. But it looked like a used bookstore with a room that had a float tank in the back, and he was just installing his second tank. And for just being this place in sort of a rundown warehouse that he had turned into his home and a bookstore, the rooms were really legit there too.
Yeah.
And he had an Altered States poster in Japanese.
Yeah, back from when it was actually released, which is pretty cool.
So yeah, the kind of more rough and tumble, less developed things have definitely been my favorites, but there have been just some beautiful centers along the way too.
Yeah, we've gotten to make some great stops at some of the bigger places around. We saw Lift in Brooklyn, which was super fun. Float Toronto in Toronto. Those guys are really great. It's been fun going around to some of the cities where big float centers in big cities have actually popped up, and getting to see the impact that that's made, and the fact that these places that were just whatever 2-3 years ago unaware of floating and now have these kind of really legitimate places floating tons of people and spreading the word on it.
Do you have a couple favorite centers at all that we visited since Atlanta?
I mean, I don't know how loosely we can describe float centers here, but we did just get to visit the University of Toledo, where Tom Fine and John Turner are, which was a super fun stop. So, like pioneers in the world of float research, and actually got to go and see the rooms that their float tanks were in when they were doing their research. And this is like pretty much the first, float tank research that was happening. And it was great. They like, despite being all these years later, there was still just damage on the walls from where the salt water had gotten to things. And yeah, getting to kind of get a tour around there and just hang out with John and Tom was really fun.
Oh man, they had some crazy stories that they got to tell us
Yeah.
too. Maybe they'll get
Yeah.
to repeat some of those on Float Tour. I guess we captured them on film, so you guys will be seeing those as well coming out when we have time to do video editing on tour.
Yeah, so that was really great. We visited the NSF. That was pretty fun. Got to see their giant actual water testing laboratories and all the crazy equipment and everything they're doing there, which is a fun stop.
So what big takeaways do we have? I think that's a question that other people are probably curious about, right? Now that we've seen 104 float centers, what have we taken away from that?
Yeah.
Ashkan?
Yes. What have we taken away from that? Well, some things have stayed completely true, which is that everybody's awesome. Like getting like that hasn't changed at all. Like every person we've met has been super fun and super generous and really incredible to spend some time with.
Yeah, definitely reinstilled that sense that we are absolutely in the right industry.
Yeah. And people really, again, they seem to be doing well. Like we go to place after place after place and we hear the same story that, people are coming into float and their schedules are getting busier and the weekends are totally full, and these are these consistent themes we hear. And, and that they all thought they might have like actual demographics to begin with, and everyone just realized that pretty much like the whole kind of span of human beings are coming into float with them, which is really exciting to hear over and over again.
It's really satisfying too, because whenever people call up and ask me for demographics of the floaters at our center, I always tell them that we don't really have specific demographics and it's just all over the place and no one believes me. And then they start up and we hear the exact same story. That, maybe if your demographics are age 8 to 80, which is a direct quote from someone we visited today. And it's just scattered all over the place as far as interests and walks of life and jobs and everything like that. So we really are just getting in the population of cities to float.
Yeah, and that, running a float tank center, despite the hard work that goes into it and the 3 a.m. like fixing a salty pump scenarios that pop up way more often than you'd think. It kind of seems that despite all of that, it's absolutely worth it. Like we don't meet people who aren't happy with what they're doing. And everyone tells us that it's, an incredibly challenging ordeal to get into. But when you see customers coming out of their floats, it's just kind of all that washes away, and you feel like you're actually giving something back to people. So that's been really fun to see, kind of unanimously across the board.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes from when we left Atlanta, having done the 1 month check-in, was a fellow who said that he had just left his high-paying job to open up a float tank center. And now he cleans bathrooms every single day and cleans up salt instead of pulling home big paychecks, and that he has never been happier. It's just delightful to hear.
They've been super fun. It's really cool to have people out and do things in a slightly more local kind of way. I think we get to delve in a little bit more about kind of local health department stuff and what's actually going on in the specific areas we're doing the workshops. So that's been kind of fun, and it's a little different than what we get to do when people kind of fly out from all over to come do it in Portland with us.
And really well received too. I think at the point that you're flying out to Portland, paying all of the money to come out to our apprenticeships there, which are more expensive, and paying for a flight and hotel rooms, you've kind of decided that this is a direction that you want to go and that they trust us and think we're actually going to deliver good content. And the people who come out to the workshops here are maybe not as sold on us, or they're really testing the waters a little bit more. And the response has just been stellar from them. The feedback emails that we get after the workshops have been really satisfying to get. Like, I didn't really know what to expect from this, and it blew my mind.
I had no idea what to look for. You were just going to bamboozle me, but you guys actually might know something. So yeah, that's been really fun, and really, we have gotten some people too that are coming out just to be like, I'm not like sure if I want to open this business yet, so I want to learn more about it to see if it's something I actually want to get into. So we might have scared a few people off too with after they actually learn what it takes.
Which I think happens with some of our trainings. It really is just a way bigger process getting to open a float tank center than slapping some float tanks in a room. I mean, for a nothing business, I think it's shocking to a lot of people. And even Gloria today, when we were hanging out with her, who's one of our past apprentices and sent one of her managers out to train with us. And she just said that even going through our program and knowing what to expect, that being in the thick of it and actually going through opening and going through all of the salt cleaning, it was just way crazier than even she expected. And she felt like she was expecting a crazy process.
We've also heard a lot of stories of people not getting their float tanks to fit inside of their buildings or inside of the rooms once they get it in there. It's like everyone's got their own war story about how, like, the tank arrived and it wouldn't go around this corner, or they had to knock a window out and get a crane or whatever it is. So definitely a lesson if you're watching this video and you haven't opened your float center yet. an important lesson to learn is make sure your float tanks can actually fit the places you were trying to get them to go.
Oh yeah, that
Oh
was a
man.
really
Okay, so
for a non-float center float store, it's a really amazing one.
yeah, this was we were crossing from Canada back into the U.S. right at Niagara Falls, and we had this RV. We're driving this huge RV around, and we're trying to cross the border, and we're pretty much certain they're gonna have to search it and all this stuff, right? And we get to the border crossing, and the guy's just like, okay, like, how's it going? How many people are there in the vehicle? And we're like, well, there's 3 of us.
Yeah, can I see all of you, please? Like,
Yeah.
lean forward.
And he's like, how do you guys know each other? And we're like, oh, we work together. And he's like, oh yeah, like what's the business? And we're like, well, it's just for these float tanks. We run a float tank center. And the guy just like spins around in his chair and looks at us and goes, I'm actually about to go do one of those tomorrow. My girlfriend's dragging me in there, and like I'm just really curious, like, how do those run, and like what's it like to actually open one of those centers? And what turns into like a border crossing becomes a 10-minute conversation about this guy thinking about opening a float tank center up and what it's actually like and what it's like as a business.
Yeah, starts picking our brain about the costs and everything that's going into opening and whether or not we're actually profitable and making money. And he just waves us through without even asking us if we had
Just
anything to
finishes that
declare. Like, that was it. Game over.
So yeah, probably the easiest border crossing we've ever had to do.
Which is good because we had like 5 extra people in that RV, so
Yeah, lots
glad
of
they
drugs.
didn't search it.
Lots of drugs.